Poor girl found the lost mute boy not knowing he's the Mafia boss' only son. His hand trembled as he wrote 4 words that changed everything. They call him the ghost. In that moment I realized I wasn't just helping some random injured boy. I was harboring the son of the most dangerous man in the city. Have you ever had that moment when a simple act of kindness completely derailed your life? When helping a stranger threw you into a world you never knew existed? This is exactly what happened to Lily Winters, a struggling nurse whose compassion led her straight into the crosshairs of Portland's most notorious crime lord. If you've ever wondered what would happen if an ordinary person collided with an extraordinary world of danger, power, and unexpected connections, stay with me. This story might just change how you think about the choices we make when faced with someone in need. Hit that like button if you've ever helped someone and gotten way more than you bargained for. I'm Serafina, and today I'm sharing the remarkable story of how a rain-soaked encounter outside a hospital changed 2 lives forever. The rain fell in sheets across downtown Portland, turning the evening sky into a blur of neon reflections and headlights. Lily Winters pulled her thin jacket tighter, cursing herself for forgetting her umbrella again. 12 hours on her feet in the ICU had left her exhausted, her mind focused only on getting home to her cramped apartment and collapsing into bed. That's when she saw him. A figure huddled against the brick wall of St. Mary's Hospital, seemingly indifferent to the downpour soaking through his clothes. Something about his stillness amid the urban chaos made her pause. "Hey," she called, approaching slowly. "Are you okay?" The boy, perhaps 16 or 17, flinched at her voice but didn't look up. His dark hair hung in wet strands across his forehead, and his shoulders remained hunched as if carrying an invisible weight. "You're soaked through," Lily said, crouching to his level despite her aching feet. "Do you need help?" When he finally raised his head, the intensity in his deep brown eyes startled her. Pain, wariness, and something else. A fierce intelligence that seemed at odds with his vulnerable position. He opened his mouth as if to speak, then closed it again, frustration flashing across his features. Understanding dawned on Lily. "You can't speak." A slight nod. "Are you hurt? Do you need medical attention?" He shook his head, then gestured vaguely down the street. "Lost," Lily guessed. Another nod, more emphatic this time. Lily glanced at her watch. Her roommate would be wondering where she was, and her feet ached from 12 hours of nursing rounds. But something about this boy's silent distress tugged at her heart. "I'm Lily," she said, offering a gentle smile. "I work here at the hospital. Would you like to come inside where it's dry? Maybe we can figure out where you need to go." Hesitation flickered across his face, followed by a cautious nod. As he stood, Lily noticed his clothes, expensive despite their sodden state, a designer label visible on his jacket. Not a runaway or homeless teen then. Someone from money who had somehow become separated from his people. Inside the hospital lobby, Lily found them a quiet corner. She pulled a notepad from her bag and offered it to him. "Can you write? Tell me your name." He took the pen, his hand trembling slightly, and wrote an elegant script. "Alex. Nice to meet you, Alex. Do you have family I can call?" His response was immediate and alarming. He shook his head violently, fear replacing the wariness in his eyes. "Okay," Lily soothed. "No calls. But I need to understand what's happening so I can help you." Alex hesitated, then wrote, "Accident. Memory fuzzy. People after me." Lily's nursing instincts kicked into high gear. "You were in an accident? Head injury?" He nodded, pointing to a barely visible scar along his hairline. "How long ago?" 3 weeks. Woke up in private clinic. Escaped yesterday." Lily's heart raced as she processed his words. A mute boy with a head injury, fleeing from some kind of private medical facility, convinced people were after him. It sounded paranoid, possibly delusional, a symptom of his trauma. Yet something in his steady gaze suggested lucidity. "Alex, if you've been injured, you need proper medical care. I can arrange for a doctor to examine you, confidentially." He wrote quickly, "Not safe. They'll find me in system." "Who's they?" Instead of answering, he wrote, "Please. Just need place to stay tonight. We'll leave tomorrow." Lily bit her lip, weighing her options. Hospital protocol demanded she report this. A potentially injured minor without guardian supervision. But the fear in his eyes was real, and her instincts told her this wasn't simple paranoia. I have a couch, she heard herself saying. Just for tonight. And tomorrow we figure this out properly, okay? Relief washed over his face as he nodded. The walk to Lily's apartment was tense, both of them scanning the streets as if expecting trouble to materialize from the shadows. By the time they reached her building, a converted Victorian house split into apartments, they were both shivering from the cold rain. It's not much, Lily warned as she unlocked the door to 2B. But it's dry and warm. Her roommate Hannah was sprawled on the couch watching medical dramas. Ironic given that they both lived the real thing daily in pediatrics. She looked up, her expression shifting from casual greeting to shock as she took in the soaking wet teenage boy standing awkwardly behind Lily. Hello. Hannah said, sitting up straight. Hannah, this is Alex. Alex, my roommate Hannah. Alex gave a small wave, his eyes darting around the apartment as if mapping exits. He needs a place to stay tonight, Lily continued, hanging up her wet jacket. Just for tonight. Hannah raised her eyebrows in a clear, we need to talk expression, then stood. I'll get some towels and dry clothes. My brother left some stuff here last visit that might fit you. Once Alex was in the bathroom changing, Hannah cornered Lily in the kitchen. Explain, Hannah whispered, arms crossed. He was outside the hospital. Mute, head injury, seems scared to death of something. And you brought him home instead of admitting him because he begged me not to. Hon, I think he's running from someone. Someone with enough influence to track hospital admissions. Hannah's expression softened. Your savior complex is showing again, Lil. Just for tonight, Lily insisted. Tomorrow I'll take him to Dr. Mercer. Off the books. The neurosurgeon? You're calling in that favor for a stranger. Look at his clothes, Hon. The watch he was wearing. That's a Patek Philippe. Someone's looking for this kid and he's terrified of being found. Hannah sighed. Fine. One night. But I'm sleeping with my pepper spray. When Alex emerged in dry clothes, Lily had prepared hot chocolate and sandwiches. His grateful smile transformed his face, revealing dimples and a boyish charm that his earlier fear had masked. Over their simple meal, Alex wrote more details about his situation. The accident had been 3 weeks ago, a car crash. He'd woken up unable to speak, a condition the doctors called psychogenic mutism, triggered by trauma. The private clinic had restricted his movements, limited his communications. No phone, no internet, no visitors except the doctors and a stern-faced man who claimed to be his uncle but whom Alex didn't recognize. Not my uncle, he wrote emphatically. Never seen before. Trying to take me somewhere. What about your parents? Lily asked gently. Alex's expression darkened. Mother died when I was 8. Father. He paused, pen hovering over the paper. Complicated. Is he looking for you? Don't know. We're not close. As the evening progressed, Lily found herself increasingly drawn to this mysterious boy. Despite his inability to speak, Alex communicated with expressive eyes and elegant handwriting. He was clearly well-educated, referencing classical literature when Lily mentioned her college minor in English. He moved with a strange grace that spoke of expensive training, perhaps dance or martial arts. When Hannah retired to her room, Lily made up the couch with fresh sheets and a spare blanket. Tomorrow we'll see Dr. Mercer, she told him. He's brilliant and discreet. If anyone can help with your condition, it's him. Alex nodded, then wrote, Why are you helping me? The question caught Lily off guard. Why indeed? She barely made ends meet on a nurse's salary. Her life was complicated enough without adding a mysterious mute teenager with possible delusions of persecution. Because everyone deserves someone in their corner, she finally answered. Especially when they're scared and alone. His eyes softened and he wrote, Thank you. No one's been kind to me in a long time. The simple statement broke something in Lily's heart. What kind of life had this boy led, where kindness was so rare it warranted such gratitude? Get some rest, she said, squeezing his shoulder gently. You're safe here. As she turned to leave, Alex caught her wrist. He scribbled quickly, Be careful. If they find me here, you could be in danger too. Who are they, Alex? You need to tell me what I'm dealing with. His hand trembled as he wrote, My father's enemies. Or his people. Not sure which is worse. And who is your father? Alex stared at the paper for a long moment before writing 4 words that changed everything. They call him the Ghost. Lily's blood ran cold. Even she, removed from the criminal underworld as she was, had heard whispers of the Ghost, the invisible hand behind Portland's most sophisticated criminal operations. A man whose real name was never spoken, whose face was never seen, but whose influence reached into every corner of the city. Your father is... She couldn't finish the sentence. Alex nodded grimly, then wrote, "Now you understand why I ran. If you're shocked by this revelation, hit that like button right now. Imagine finding out the mute boy you rescued from the rain is actually the son of the city's most feared crime lord. Would you still help him knowing the danger? Let me know in the comments below." Sleep eluded Lily that night. She lay awake, replaying their conversation, questioning her decision to bring Alex home. If he was telling the truth, if he really was the son of the Ghost, then harboring him could put her in the crosshairs of the city's most dangerous man. Or worse, if he was running from his father's enemies, those enemies might now be looking for her too. Yet something about Alex's story rang true. The quality of his clothes, his education, his mannerisms, all suggested privilege and protection. And his fear, that couldn't be faked. Around dawn, Lily drifted into uneasy sleep, only to be jolted awake by a crash from the living room. She bolted upright, heart pounding. "Alex," she called, rushing down the hallway. The living room was empty, the blankets on the couch neatly folded. The crash had come from the kitchen, where she found Alex attempting to cook breakfast, a shattered mug at his feet. He looked up apologetically, then pointed to a note on the counter. "Sorry for waking you. Wanted to thank you with breakfast. Not very good at cooking." Relief washed over Lily, followed by a surprising wave of affection. This boy, this son of a criminal kingpin, was making her pancakes. "It's okay," she laughed, grabbing a broom. "I'm not much of a cook either." As they cleaned up the broken mug together, Lily studied Alex's profile. In the morning light, with his guard down, he looked like any other teenager. Awkward, eager to please, vulnerable. It was hard to reconcile this image with the heir to a criminal empire. Yet as she watched him carefully flip a slightly misshapen pancake, his brow furrowed in concentration, Lily made her decision. Whatever the risk, she couldn't abandon him now. "After breakfast," she said, "we'll see Dr. Mercer. And then we'll figure out what to do next. Together." Alex looked up, surprise and hope mingling in his expression. He reached for his notepad. "Why would you risk yourself for me?" Lily considered the question carefully. "Because I believe everyone deserves a chance to choose their own path. Even the son of the Ghost." His smile was like sunshine breaking through clouds. Brilliant, transformative, full of possibility. In that moment, Lily knew that finding this lost, mute boy in the rain wasn't chance or misfortune. It was the beginning of something extraordinary. Hannah emerged from her room as they were finishing breakfast, eyeing them both suspiciously. "You're still here," she said to Alex, not unkindly. "And making pancakes, apparently." Alex nodded, offering her a plate. "I'm taking him to see Dr. Mercer this morning," Lily explained. "Off the books." Hannah accepted the pancakes with a sigh. "Just be careful, Lil. Whatever this kid is mixed up in, it's way above our pay grade." "I know what I'm doing," Lily insisted, though she wasn't entirely sure that was true. "Do you?" Hannah lowered her voice. "Because if he's who he says he is, if his father really is who he claims, then you're playing with fire. I can't just abandon him." "No, of course not." Saint Lily to the rescue. Hannah's tone softened. "Just promise me you'll call if things get weird. Weirder than they already are." "I promise." Dr. James Mercer's private practice occupied the top floor of a discreet medical building in the Pearl District. As one of Portland's most respected neurosurgeons, he could afford to be selective about his patients, and secretive when necessary. Lily had met him during her rotation in neurology, where she'd impressed him enough that he'd offered her a standing invitation to contact him if she ever needed help. She hadn't expected to cash in that favor for a mute teenage fugitive. "Lily Winters," Dr. Mercer greeted her warmly, his silver hair and kind eyes giving him the appearance of a distinguished grandfather rather than a cutting-edge surgeon. "It's been 2 years?" "Almost 3, Lily admitted. "Thank you for seeing us on such short notice." Dr. Mercer's gaze shifted to Alex, who stood slightly behind Lily, tension evident in his posture. "And this must be your cousin, was it?" "Yes," Lily lied, following the story they'd agreed upon. He's had a recent head injury and is experiencing some complications we'd rather keep unofficial. Dr. Mercer's eyebrows rose slightly, but he nodded. I see. Well, let's have a look, shall we? The examination was thorough. Dr. Mercer tested Alex's reflexes, examined his pupils, checked the healing scar along his hairline, and ran him through a series of cognitive assessments. Throughout it all, Alex remained cooperative but watchful, his eyes constantly darting to the windows and door. Well, Dr. Mercer said finally, removing his stethoscope, physically you're healing nicely. The laceration on your scalp is clean, no signs of infection. Neurologically, your responses are normal, no indication of significant brain trauma. Alex wrote on his notepad, then why can't I speak? Dr. Mercer read the note and nodded thoughtfully. Based on what I'm seeing, I believe you're experiencing psychogenic mutism, a loss of speech not caused by physical damage but by psychological trauma. It's relatively rare but not unheard of, especially following intense emotional experiences. Can it be treated? Lily asked. Yes, though the timeline varies considerably from patient to patient. Some recover their speech within days, others take months. The key is addressing the underlying trauma. He turned to Alex. Do you remember the accident that caused your injury? Alex shook his head, then wrote. Flashes. Car spinning. Glass breaking. Then nothing until I woke up in the clinic. Memory gaps are common with concussions, Dr. Mercer assured him. They may return over time or they may not. The important thing is that your brain is healing. As Dr. Mercer wrote out recommendations for therapy and potential medications, Lily noticed Alex had gone very still, his attention fixed on the window overlooking the parking lot. Alex, she asked quietly. What is it? He gestured urgently for his notepad, then wrote, Black SUV. Tinted windows. Same as clinic. Lily moved to the window, trying to appear casual. Sure enough, a black Escalade with heavily tinted windows had pulled into the lot, parking with a clear view of the building's entrance. Dr. Mercer, she said, keeping her voice steady, is there another way out of the building? Besides the main entrance. The doctor looked between them, comprehension dawning on his face. There's a service elevator that leads to the loading dock on the east side. Is there trouble I should know about? The less you know, the better, Lily said, gathering their things. But we need to leave. Now. Dr. Mercer nodded, moving to his desk and scribbling something on a prescription pad. My private number, he said, handing it to Lily. Call me if you need anything else. And Lily, be careful. Thank you, she said, meaning it. For everything. They slipped out through the service elevator as Dr. Mercer had suggested, emerging onto a loading dock where delivery trucks were unloading medical supplies. Alex kept his head down, his body language transforming before Lily's eyes, shoulders hunched, gait shuffling, making himself forgettable. It was a practiced move, she realized. He'd done this before. They were halfway across the parking lot when Alex suddenly grabbed Lily's arm, pulling her behind a parked van. A moment later, two men in dark suits emerged from around the corner, scanning the area with the practiced efficiency of hunters. Friends of yours? Lily whispered. Alex shook his head, his expression grim. Your father's men? He shrugged, then made a gesture that clearly meant maybe. We need to get out of here, Lily murmured. My car's on the other side of the lot. Alex pointed to a city bus pulling up at a stop across the street, then tugged her hand. Public transportation, Lily nodded. Smart. Harder to track. They waited until the men moved toward the loading dock, then darted across the street, blending with a group of people boarding the bus. Lily paid their fares with shaking hands, and they moved to seats in the back, Alex taking the window where he could watch for pursuers. Where are we going? Lily asked, the reality of their situation finally hitting her. She was on the run with the son of a crime lord, being pursued by men who clearly meant business. Her shift started in 4 hours. Her life, her job, her tiny but stable existence. All of it was unraveling around her. Alex wrote, need somewhere safe. Not your apartment. They'll check there. I don't exactly have a network of safe houses, Lily said, a hysterical edge creeping into her voice. I'm a nurse, not a spy. Alex considered this, then wrote, I know a place. But need to be careful. They might be watching it. A place? Like a friend's house. He shook his head. My mother's family had a cabin. Outside the city. Father doesn't know about it. How far? About an hour. Near Mount Hood. Lily took a deep breath, weighing her options. She could still walk away. Drop Alex at a police station, wash her hands of the whole situation, return to her normal life. But the image of those men in dark suits, methodically hunting a teenager, made her stomach turn. And something about Alex, his vulnerability beneath the careful composure, his gratitude for simple kindness, had gotten under her skin. Okay, she said finally. But I need to call the hospital, tell them I'm sick. And text Hannah so she doesn't worry. Alex nodded, relief evident in his eyes. As the bus rumbled through downtown Portland, Lily made her calls, crafting careful lies about a stomach virus, promising to make up shifts next week. All the while Alex remained vigilant, his eyes scanning every passenger who boarded, every car that passed too slowly. You've done this before, Lily observed quietly. Running. Hiding. Alex hesitated, then wrote. Father believed in practical education. Escape and evasion training since I was 10. What kind of father trains his child to escape and evade? The kind who has enemies everywhere. And are we running from his enemies now? Or from him? Alex's expression darkened. Not sure anymore. After accident things changed. The men at clinic. Something wasn't right. What do you mean? He struggled to find the words, frustration evident as he wrote. Father is dangerous but protective. He's men. Different. Like I was cargo, not a person. A chill ran down Lily's spine. You think someone in your father's organization is working against him? Using you somehow? Maybe. Or maybe father changed. It's been difficult since mother died. The raw pain in his eyes as he wrote those words made Lily's heart ache. Behind the mystery and danger, he was still just a teenager who had lost his mother, who had a complicated relationship with his father, who was scared and alone. We'll figure this out, she promised, squeezing his hand. Together. The warmth that flooded his expression made something flutter in Lily's chest. Something unexpected and definitely inappropriate given their situation. She was 25, a professional with responsibilities. He was a teenager, the son of a criminal, a patient in her care. And yet, as the bus carried them away from the city, toward whatever sanctuary or trap awaited them in the mountains, Lily couldn't deny the connection forming between them. Forged in danger, strengthened by trust, complicated by circumstances neither of them had chosen. What she didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know as they traveled toward the cabin, was that their journey had only just begun, and that the truth about Alex and his father was far more dangerous than she could imagine. The cabin was nothing like Lily had expected. From Alex's description of his mother's family retreat, she'd imagined something rustic and modest. Instead, they stood before a modern architectural marvel, glass and cedar nestled into the mountainside, with sweeping views of the forest below. Your mother's family had money, Lily observed as Alex unlocked the front door, using a key hidden beneath a specific rock as if he'd done it 100 times before. He nodded, then wrote, Mother was from old money. Met father before he became the ghost. When he was just ambitious, not feared. The interior was dusty but elegant. Minimalist furniture, expensive art, a kitchen that would make a chef weep with joy. Alex moved through the space with familiarity, checking windows, testing faucets, examining the circuit breaker. You've been here recently, Lily noted, watching his methodical movements. He shook his head, then wrote, Not since I was 12. Father found out about it after mother died. Forbidden to come here. Said it wasn't safe. But you remembered everything. The key location, the layout. Alex tapped his temple, a small, sad smile playing at his lips. Then wrote, I memorized everything about her. Places she loved. Things she said. Afraid I'd forget otherwise. If you've ever lost someone you loved and clung to every memory of them, hit that like button. Sometimes the places they cherished become sacred ground, even when we're told to stay away. The cabin had no cell service, but there was a landline that still worked. Lily called Hannah, keeping her explanation vague. She was helping Alex, they were safe, she'd be back in a few days. Hannah's concern was palpable through the phone. Lily, there were men at our apartment, she said, her voice tight with fear. 2 guys in suits asking questions about you and a young man you might be with. I played dumb, but they didn't believe me. They're watching the building. Lily's blood ran cold. Are you safe? Did they threaten you? No, nothing like that. They were professional. Creepy polite. But Lily, what the hell have you gotten yourself into? I can't explain right now. Just maybe stay with your brother for a few days. Already packed. But Lily, seriously, should I call the police? Lily glanced at Alex, who was watching her intently. No police. Not yet. I'll explain everything when I can. Just stay safe, okay? After hanging up, Lily relayed the conversation to Alex, whose face darkened with guilt. I'm sorry, he wrote. Shouldn't have involved you. They'll hurt anyone to find me. Why? Lily pressed. What makes you so valuable that they'd go to these lengths? Alex hesitated, then wrote. Father is dying. Cancer. Terminal. I'm his only heir. And you think someone in his organization wants to control you? Use you as a puppet? He nodded grimly. Uncle Vince, father's right hand, always hated me. After accident, he was suddenly my guardian. Kept me drugged, isolated. Overheard him on phone. Plans to secure the succession. By keeping you prisoner? Or worse? Lily, I think the accident wasn't an accident. The implications hit Lily like a physical blow. You think your uncle tried to kill you? And when that failed, he was keeping you controlled until he could try again. Alex's eyes reflected a pain beyond his years as he nodded. But why would your father allow that? You said he was protective. Father doesn't know. Been in Switzerland for treatment. Uncle Vince handling everything. We need to contact your father, Lily said decisively. Tell him what's happening. Alex's expression turned bitter. Not that simple. Father and I, complicated. Hasn't spoken to me in months. Blames me for things. What things? He shook his head, clearly unwilling to elaborate. As night fell, they secured the cabin, locking doors, drawing blinds, setting up makeshift alarms using kitchenware that would clatter if disturbed. Lily found herself moving with a strange new awareness, hypervigilant in a way she'd never been before. Was this how Alex lived all the time? Always watching, always prepared for danger? They ate a simple meal cobbled together from non-perishables in the pantry, canned soup and crackers that had somehow survived the years since Alex's last visit. As they ate in the dimly lit kitchen, Lily found herself studying him, this boy who carried himself like someone much older, whose eyes held secrets and sorrows she couldn't begin to understand. Tell me about your mother, she said softly. If you want to. The request seemed to surprise him. He considered for a moment, then wrote, beautiful. Brilliant. Loved poetry and mathematics equally. Said they were the same language in different forms. She taught literature at Reed College. She sounds amazing. She was never afraid of father even when others were terrified. Called him on his bullshit. Made him laugh. After she died, he never laughed again. How did she die? Lily asked gently. Car accident. I was with her. I survived. He didn't. The simple words carried a weight of guilt that Lily recognized immediately. It wasn't your fault, Alex. His smile was hollow as he wrote. Father thinks it was. That's why things are complicated between you. He nodded, then added, he sent me to boarding schools after. Switzerland. England. Home only for holidays. Then accident happened during spring break. First time home in months. Lily reached across the table, covering his hand with hers. I'm sorry, Alex. For all of it. He turned his hand to squeeze hers, his eyes conveying what his voice couldn't, gratitude, connection, and something more complex that made Lily's heart beat faster. The moment was broken by a sound outside. A branch snapping, perhaps, or an animal moving through the underbrush. Both of them tensed, Alex immediately on his feet, moving to the window with practiced stealth. Could be nothing, Lily whispered. A deer maybe. Alex's expression said he didn't believe in coincidences. He gestured for her to stay back, then moved silently through the cabin, checking each window without exposing himself. When he returned to the kitchen, his face was grim. Headlights, he wrote. On the access road. No one should be up here this time of year. Maybe hikers. Campers. He shook his head. Too convenient. Need to leave. No. But it's the middle of the night and we're miles from anywhere. There's a trail behind cabin. Leads to Fire Road. Can hike out if necessary. Lily's mind raced. Your uncle's men couldn't possibly know about this place if your father doesn't even know about it. Alex's expression was bleak. Someone talked. Or they tracked us. Doesn't matter now. They moved quickly, gathering essentials into backpacks. Water bottles, energy bars, a first aid kit Lily found under the bathroom sink. Alex located a locked cabinet in the master bedroom, using another hidden key to reveal its contents. A hunting rifle, a handgun, and boxes of ammunition. Lily's eyes widened. Your mother kept guns here? Alex shook his head then wrote, my grandfather. Hunter. Mother hated them but never got rid of them. He checked the handgun with practiced ease, confirming it was loaded, then offered it to Lily. I've never fired a gun in my life, she said, backing away. Alex nodded in understanding, tucking the gun into his own waistband instead. He left the rifle but took extra ammunition for the handgun. They slipped out the back door just as the sound of vehicles became audible on the approach to the cabin. The night was clear and cold, the forest around them a tapestry of shadows and silver moonlight. Alex led the way with confidence, finding a narrow trail that wound up the mountainside behind the cabin. How do you know where to go in the dark? Lily whispered as they climbed. Alex paused to write, memorize topographical maps of area after mother died. In case I ever needed to come back. Find her. The simple explanation broke Lily's heart all over again. This boy had spent years preparing for a moment like this, not just because of his father's practical education, but because he'd been seeking connection to his mother, planning a return to the place where he'd last felt her presence. They hiked for nearly an hour, the trail growing steeper and more challenging. Lily, despite being physically fit from her work at the hospital, found herself struggling to keep up with Alex's sure-footed pace. Finally, they reached a ridge that offered a view back toward the cabin. In the distance, they could see flashlight beams sweeping the property, dark figures moving with military precision through the house and surrounding grounds. Even from this distance, it was clear this was no random visit, no innocent hikers. This was a search party with a very specific target. They're really looking for you, Lily murmured, the reality of their situation hitting her anew. This is really happening. Alex's expression was grim as he nodded, then wrote, I'm sorry for involving you. Never meant for this. Stop apologizing, Lily said firmly. I made my choice when I brought you home from the hospital. I'm in this now, whatever this is. His eyes softened with gratitude, but the worry remained. He wrote, need to keep moving. Fire Road should be half-mile ahead. Might be able to flag down help. As they continued their trek through the forest, Lily found herself wondering how her life had changed so dramatically in less than 48 hours. From overworked nurse to fugitive, running through the wilderness with the mute son of a crime lord, pursued by men who might want him dead. And yet strangely she felt more alive than she had in years. The comfortable numbness that had settled over her life, the routine of work, sleep, bills, repeat, had been shattered. In its place was fear, yes, but also a crackling awareness of every moment, every sensation, every beat of her heart. I never told you about me, she said quietly as they walked. About my life. Alex glanced back, curiosity in his eyes. I grew up in foster care, Lily continued. Bounced around a lot. Some homes were okay, others weren't. I learned to be invisible, to not cause trouble. Got a scholarship to nursing school, worked my way through. Became exactly what the system wanted. Functional, productive, unremarkable. Alex stopped, turning to face her fully in the moonlight. His expression asked the question his voice couldn't. Why am I telling you this? Lily smiled sadly. Because I think I understand something about you, Alex. About living in the shadows of other people's expectations. About being seen as a problem to solve or an asset to use, rather than a person. He stared at her for a long moment, then pulled out his notepad, writing slowly, You see me. Not many people do. I see you, she confirmed softly. And I think maybe you see me too. The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither was ready to name. Then Alex's head snapped up, his body tensing as he listened. A moment later Lily heard it too, the distant sound of engines coming from the direction they were heading. The fire road, she whispered. Someone's there. Alex's expression hardened. He wrote quickly, They're boxing us in. Professional operation. Multiple teams. What do we do? He scanned the forest around them, then pointed to a steep ravine to their left. It looked treacherous in the darkness. A a sharp descent into dense underbrush and shadows. Down there, we could break our necks. Alex's smile was grim as he wrote, they expect us to follow trails. To be predictable. Only chance is to do the unexpected. Lily looked at the ravine again, then back at Alex. You're sure about this? He shook his head, his honesty refreshing. Not sure about anything anymore. Except that I trust you. The simple declaration settled something in Lily's chest. Okay then. Down we go. The descent was as difficult as it looked. Slippery with pine needles and loose rocks, the darkness making each step a potential disaster. They moved slowly, using trees and roots as handholds, helping each other over the most treacherous sections. Halfway down, Lily's foot slipped on a moss-covered rock. She fell, tumbling several feet before Alex caught her arm, arresting her slide with a strength that belied his lean frame. The sudden stop wrenched her shoulder painfully, but his grip held firm, his eyes intense with concern in the filtered moonlight. I'm okay, she whispered, though her heart was pounding. Just scraped up. He helped her to her feet, his hands lingering on her arms to ensure she was steady. Their faces were close, breath mingling in the cold air. For a wild moment, Lily thought he might kiss her, and more surprisingly realized she wanted him to. The moment shattered as voices echoed from above, men calling to each other, the beams of powerful flashlights sweeping the forest. They'd found their trail. Alex's expression turned urgent. He grabbed Lily's hand and they continued their descent, moving faster now despite the danger, desperation lending them speed and surety. When they finally reached the bottom of the ravine, they found themselves beside a small stream, the water black and silver in the moonlight. Alex pointed downstream, then wrote quickly, "Water mask scent covers tracks. They might have dogs." They waded into the icy stream, the cold shocking Lily's system. The water was only ankle deep but swift, the rocky bottom treacherous. They moved as quickly as they dared, the sounds of pursuit growing more distant behind them. After what felt like hours but was probably only 20 minutes, Alex led them out of the stream and up the opposite bank. They were thoroughly soaked and shivering but alive and, for the moment, free. "Tao what?" Lily asked through chattering teeth. Alex surveyed their surroundings, then pointed to a cluster of large rocks that formed a natural shelter. He led her there and began gathering pine boughs, creating a makeshift windbreak. From his backpack he produced an emergency thermal blanket, thin, crinkly silver material that looked inadequate but reflected body heat with surprising efficiency. They huddled together beneath the blanket, sharing warmth, their wet clothes a miserable barrier between them. Gradually Lily's shivering subsided as Alex's body heat seeped into her. "Thank you," she murmured, "for saving me back there. When I fell." He nodded, then reached for his notepad which had somehow remained dry in his pack. He wrote, "Thank you for not leaving me. Most people would have by now. I'm not most people." His smile was soft in the darkness as he wrote, "No. You're extraordinary." The simple compliment warmed Lily more than the thermal blanket. She found herself studying his face in the dim moonlight that filtered through the trees. The strong line of his jaw, the intelligence in his eyes, the way his dark hair fell across his forehead. He was beautiful, she realized with a start. Not just handsome or cute, but beautiful in a way that transcended conventional attractiveness. And dangerous, a voice in her head reminded her. Not just because of who his father was, but because of how he made her feel. Alive, seen, important. Feelings that could cloud her judgment when clear thinking was what they needed most. "We should try to rest," she said, breaking the moment. "Take turns keeping watch." Alex nodded, then wrote, "I'll take first watch. You sleep. Wake me in 2 hours," Lily insisted. "You need rest too." He agreed, though something in his expression suggested he had no intention of waking her until morning. Stubborn, Lily thought with unexpected fondness. Another piece of the puzzle that was Alex. As she drifted toward an uneasy sleep, her head resting against his shoulder, Lily wondered what tomorrow would bring. More running? A confrontation with the men hunting them? Some way to contact Alex's father and expose his uncle's betrayal? Whatever came next, one thing was certain. Her life would never be the same again. And strangely, despite the danger and uncertainty, she wasn't sure she wanted it to be. Lily woke to birdsong and dappled sunlight filtering through the trees. For a disorienting moment she couldn't remember where she was or why her body ached so thoroughly. Then it all came rushing back. Alex, the cabin, the men hunting them, their desperate flight through the forest. She sat up with a jolt, the thermal blanket crinkling around her. Alex. He appeared from behind the rocks, finger to his lips in a gesture for quiet. His clothes were still damp but no longer soaking, his hair tousled from the night in the forest. He looked exhausted but alert, the gun still tucked into his waistband. You didn't wake me, Lily accused softly. You were supposed to wake me for my watch. Alex shrugged unapologetically, then handed her a water bottle and an energy bar from their meager supplies. He'd been busy while she slept. A crude map was sketched in the dirt nearby, showing their current position relative to the cabin, the fire road, and what appeared to be a small town. Where are we headed? Lily asked, studying the map. Alex pointed to the town, then wrote, Riverdale. Small town about 5 miles east. Can find phone transportation there. And the men who were searching for us? He gestured to the surrounding forest, his expression grim. Still out there. Heard them during night. Searching in grid pattern. Professional. How did you avoid them? Stayed still. They passed within 100 yards twice. Not using dogs, fortunately. Lily shivered at how close they'd come to discovery. What's the plan once we reach Riverdale? Alex hesitated, then wrote, Need to contact someone Father trusts. Not many left. Maybe Marcus, Father's security chief. Old school, loyal to Father, not uncle. And how do we find this Marcus? Through Father's lawyer. Woman named Elise Chin. Office in downtown Portland. So we need to get back to the city, Lily summarized. Without being spotted by your uncle's men who are probably watching every bus station, train depot and major road. Alex nodded, his expression apologetic. Then wrote, You could go back alone. Say I kidnapped you. They might believe it. Absolutely not, Lily said firmly. I'm not abandoning you, and I'm certainly not giving your uncle's men any reason to think I'm not on your side. Relief flooded his features, followed by determination as he wrote. Then we move carefully. Stay off main roads. Riverdale first, then find way back to Portland. They packed their few supplies and began the trek toward Riverdale, moving cautiously through the forest. The morning was clear and cool, the mountains around them breathtaking in the early light. Under different circumstances, it might have been a pleasant hike. As they walked, Lily found herself watching Alex. The way he moved with such quiet confidence through the wilderness, how he constantly scanned their surroundings, the occasional flash of vulnerability when he thought she wasn't looking. He was a study in contradictions. The privileged son of a crime lord who made pancakes to say thank you. A teenager trained in weapons and evasion who wrote about poetry and mathematics. A boy who had lost his mother and in many ways his father too. Tell me more about your father, she said after they'd been walking for about an hour. Not the ghost, the man. Alex considered this request, then wrote, Brilliant. Ruthless when necessary. Built empire from nothing after immigrating from Russia as teenager. Loved my mother completely. Changed after her death. Changed how? Colder. More distant. The ghost became more real than Mikhail Volkov. Lily stumbled slightly. Your father is Mikhail Volkov? The real estate developer. Alex nodded, watching her reaction carefully. But he's legitimate. His company builds half the luxury condos in Portland. He's on charity boards, for God's sake. Alex's smile was sad as he wrote, Perfect cover. Legitimate business hides other operations. Money laundering, protection, high-end theft, information brokering. Father believes in diversification. The revelation shouldn't have shocked Lily as much as it did. Of course the ghost would have a public face, a legitimate empire alongside his criminal one. But Mikhail Volkov was a known figure in Portland. Reclusive, yes, but respected, even admired for his philanthropy and business acumen. And your uncle? The one who's after you. Vincent Petrov. Father's half-brother. Handles messier aspects of business. Always resented father's success. Wanted more control. And with your father dying. Alex's expression darkened. Cancer diagnosis changed everything. Father began putting affairs in order. Making me heir to everything, legitimate and otherwise. Uncle Vince wasn't happy. So he arranged your accident, Lily concluded. And when that didn't kill you, he kept you isolated and controlled while your father was out of the country for treatment. Alex nodded grimly. Then added, Father doesn't know what happened. Uncle told him I was recovering at private clinic. Restricted communication for my own good. We need to tell your father the truth. That's the plan. If we can reach Elysian. They continued walking, the terrain gradually becoming less steep as they descended toward the valley where Riverdale was located. By mid-morning they could see the small town in the distance. A cluster of buildings nestled beside a river, smoke rising from chimneys, the spire of a church rising above the trees. Almost there, Lily said with relief. Her feet were blistered from hiking in nursing shoes never designed for wilderness trekking, and hunger gnawed at her stomach, their meager supplies long since consumed. Alex nodded, but his expression remained vigilant. He wrote, "Need to be careful. Small towns notice strangers. And we look conspicuous." He wasn't wrong. Their clothes were dirty and still damp in places, their hair disheveled, their faces scratched from branches and underbrush. They looked exactly like what they were, people who had spent a night fleeing through the forest. "We need a story," Lily agreed. "Something simple that won't invite questions." Alex thought for a moment, then wrote, "Hiking accident? Got lost, spent night in woods?" That could work. We're siblings who went for a day hike, got turned around, had to spend the night in the open. He nodded, then added with a hint of mischief, "You're the irresponsible older sister who didn't bring proper supplies or check the weather." Lily laughed despite their situation. "Thanks a lot. Fine, I'm the terrible planner who got us lost. You're the long-suffering brother who's too polite to say, 'I told you so.'" His smile made something warm unfurl in her chest, a dangerous feeling she tried to ignore. They approached Riverdale from a hiking trail that connected to the town's main street. It was a picturesque place that seemed frozen in time. A general store with a wooden porch, a small diner with neon signs, a gas station that still had attendants who pumped fuel for customers. "Small town America," Lily murmured. "Let's hope they're as friendly as the postcards suggest." The diner seemed like their best bet. Food, warmth, and hopefully a phone they could use. They entered to the jingling of a bell above the door, immediately enveloped in the smell of coffee and bacon. Several patrons looked up at their entrance, curious eyes taking in their bedraggled appearance. "Well, you two look like you've had quite the adventure," said a waitress approaching with coffee pot in hand. Her nameplate read Dottie, and her smile was genuine beneath shrewd eyes that missed nothing. "Got lost hiking," Lily explained with an embarrassed smile. "Had to spend the night in the woods. My fault entirely, I thought I knew the trails better than I did." "Happens to tourists all the time," Dottie said sympathetically. "You folks okay?" "No injuries." Lily shook her head. "Just hungry, tired, and in desperate need of coffee." "Well, you came to the right place. Take a booth, I'll bring menus." They settled into a corner booth, Alex positioning himself to see both the entrance and the back door. Lily noticed the subtle way he kept the gun concealed beneath his jacket, accessible but not visible. "Relax," she murmured. "We're just two hikers who got lost." He nodded, but his eyes continued to scan the diner, cataloging each patron, each exit, each potential threat. Dottie returned with menus and coffee. "Here you go, dears. Warm up with this while you decide." "Thank you," Lily said gratefully, wrapping her hands around the mug. "Is there a phone we could use? Need to let our family know we're okay." "Sure thing. Pay phone by the restrooms. Still works, believe it or not." When Dottie left to check on other customers, Lily leaned forward. "I'll make the call." "Who exactly am I calling?" Alex wrote, "Elise Chen's office. Tell receptionist you're calling about Mikhail Volkov's estate planning. Use code phrase regarding the Odessa properties. She'll put you through to Elise directly. And then, tell Elise that Alexander needs to speak with Marcus urgently about Vincent's management decisions. She'll understand." Lily memorized the instructions, then went to the payphone while Alex remained at the booth, watching the diner with careful eyes. The call went exactly as Alex had predicted. The receptionist immediately transferred her upon hearing the code phrase, and Elise Chin answered with a crisp, professional tone. "This is Elise Chin." "Miss Chin, I'm calling on behalf of Alexander," Lily said, keeping her voice low. "He needs to speak with Marcus urgently about Vincent's management decisions." A pause, then, "Where is Alexander now?" "Safe, but in a complicated situation. We need help." "We?" Elise's voice sharpened. "Who am I speaking with?" "My name is Lily Winters. I'm a nurse at St. Mary's in Portland. I found Alexander outside the hospital 2 days ago. He's been injured, he can't speak. And there are men looking for him. Another pause, longer this time. Ms. Winters, this is a very delicate situation. How do I know you're not working for Vincent? You don't, Lily admitted. But Alexander trusts me, and right now I'm the only one he has. Put him on the phone. He can't speak, Lily reminded her. I'm aware. Put him on anyway. Lily gestured to Alex, who joined her at the phone. She explained Elise's request and he nodded, taking the receiver. Though he couldn't speak, he listened for several moments, then used the phone keypad to tap out what Lily realized was Morse code. After a minute of this unusual communication, he handed the phone back to Lily. Ms. Winters, Elise said, her tone now urgent but controlled. Listen carefully. Marcus will come for you, but it will take time to arrange safely. Where are you exactly? Riverdale. A diner called Dots on Main Street. Stay there for exactly 1 hour, then leave. Walk to the church at the end of Main Street. Wait inside until 3 p.m. If Marcus hasn't arrived by then, there's a bus station 3 blocks east. Take the 3:30 bus to Gresham, then transfer to Portland. Go to the Heathman Hotel downtown and wait in the lobby. Someone will find you. How will we know it's Marcus? He'll ask if you're interested in Russian literature. The correct response is, only the poetry of Anna Akhmatova. Anything else means something's wrong. Russian literature, Anna Akhmatova, Lily repeated. Got it. And Ms. Winters? Be careful. If Alexander is right about Vincent's intentions, you're both in grave danger. The line went dead, leaving Lily staring at the receiver. She relayed the instructions to Alex as they returned to their booth, where Dottie had left plates of eggs, bacon, and toast, the diner's breakfast special. Eat up, Lily encouraged, suddenly ravenous herself. We've got an hour before we need to move. They ate quickly, Alex still vigilant but clearly appreciative of the hot food. Lily paid with cash from her wallet, thankfully still mostly dry despite their adventure in the stream, leaving a generous tip for Dottie. As they were preparing to leave, the bell above the door jingled. Alex tensed beside her, his hand moving subtly toward the concealed gun. Lily followed his gaze to the entrance, where 2 men in dark jackets were speaking to Dottie, showing her something that looked like a photograph. Is it them? Lily whispered. Your uncle's men? Alex nodded almost imperceptibly, his expression hardening. Dottie was pointing toward their booth, her friendly face now concerned. The men turned, their eyes locking on Alex with predatory focus. Back door, Lily murmured, sliding out of the booth. Yow. They moved quickly toward the rear of the diner, pushing through the swinging door into the kitchen. A startled cook looked up from the grill. Hey, you can't be back here. Sorry, emergency, Lily called, pulling Alex toward the exit sign at the back of the kitchen. They burst through the door into an alley just as shouts erupted behind them. Run! Lily gasped, and they sprinted down the alley, emerging onto a side street. The church Elise had mentioned was visible at the end of Main Street, its white steeple rising above the other buildings. This way, Lily said, pulling Alex toward a narrow passage between buildings. We need to get off the main streets. They navigated through Riverdale's back alleys and residential streets, catching glimpses of their pursuers searching Main Street. The men were methodical, splitting up to cover more ground, checking stores and speaking to locals who pointed in various directions. The whole town's helping them look for us, Lily realized. They probably said we're runaways or criminals. Alex nodded grimly, then pointed toward the church, which was now just a block away. They waited behind a garden shed, watching for any sign of their pursuers, then darted across the final street to the church's side entrance. The building was empty except for an elderly woman arranging flowers near the altar. She looked up in surprise as they entered, taking in their disheveled appearance with concern. Are you two all right? Do you need help? We're fine, thank you, Lily assured her with a forced smile. Just looking for a quiet place to pray. The woman nodded, though her expression remained doubtful. Well, you're welcome here. I'll be in the office if you need anything. Once she'd left, Alex and Lily moved to a pew near the back, positioning themselves to see both entrances while remaining partially hidden by a stone pillar. "Till we wait," Lily whispered. "Until 3 p.m. or until Marcus arrives." Alex nodded, then wrote, Thank you. For everything. Never meant to put you in danger. Stop thanking me, Lily said softly. And stop apologizing. I made my choice. His eyes searched hers, filled with a question he couldn't voice. Why would she risk everything for someone she barely knew? Because it's the right thing to do, she answered his unspoken question. Because you needed help and I could give it. And because... She hesitated, then admitted, because there's something about you, Alex. Something that makes me feel like I've known you much longer than 2 days. His expression softened and he reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. Then he wrote, feel the same? Like you're the first person who's really seen me in years. The simple honesty of his words made Lily's heart ache. She was about to respond when the church door opened, and a man entered. Tall, broad-shouldered, with close-cropped gray hair and the watchful eyes of a career soldier. Alex tensed, then relaxed, recognition in his eyes. He stood, drawing the man's attention. Alexander, the man said quietly, his voice carrying in the empty church. You've led us on quite a chase. Alex remained wary, his hand still near the concealed gun. The man noticed the gesture and smiled slightly. Smart boy. Always cautious. He turned to Lily. You must be the nurse. Are you interested in Russian literature? Lily's heart pounded as she remembered the code phrase. Only the poetry of Anna Akhmatova. The man nodded, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. Marcus Blackwood. I'm here to take you both somewhere safe. Alex stepped forward, embracing the older man briefly but with genuine emotion. Marcus returned the embrace, then held Alex at arm's length, examining him with critical eyes. You look like hell, kid. But alive, which is more than we feared. He turned to Lily. Thank you for helping him. Not many would have taken the risk. Is it true? Lily asked. About his uncle trying to kill him? Marcus's expression darkened. Vincent has always been ambitious. And with Mikhail's illness, let's just say the timing of Alexander's accident raised questions for those of us who know Vincent's methods. If you've ever suspected someone close to you had darker motives than they let on, hit that like button. Sometimes our instincts warn us about people long before we have proof. We need to move, Marcus continued, checking his watch. Vincent's men are searching the town systematically. Won't be long before they check here. Where are we going? Lily asked. Safe house outside Portland. Mikhail's private residence that Vincent doesn't know about. Marcus gave Alex a significant look. Your father returned from Switzerland yesterday. He's waiting for you. Alex's expression cycled through surprise, relief, and apprehension. He pulled out his notepad. Father is back? Does he know what happened? He knows you were in an accident and that Vincent has been controlling your recovery. He doesn't know the full extent of Vincent's betrayal. Not yet. They followed Marcus through a side door of the church to where a nondescript gray SUV was parked in a small lot behind the building. The vehicle had tinted windows and government plates, the kind that tended to discourage police attention. Get in the back, Marcus instructed. Stay down until we're clear of town. As they pulled away from the church, Lily caught a glimpse of the men who had been pursuing them, now questioning locals near the diner. One looked up as their vehicle passed, his eyes narrowing suspiciously, but they turned a corner before he could get a clear view of the occupants. That was close, Lily murmured. Too close, Marcus agreed, his eyes constantly checking the mirrors. Vincent's getting desperate. He knows if Alexander reaches Mikhail and tells him what happened, his plans collapse. They drove in tense silence for several miles, taking back roads and Forest Service routes rather than the main highway. Finally, Marcus seemed satisfied they weren't being followed and allowed them to sit up. 2 hours to Portland, he said. Try to rest if you can. You both look like you need it. Alex wrote something and showed it to Marcus, who nodded grimly. Yes, we've been looking for you since you disappeared from the clinic. Elise suspected Vincent might be involved, but we had no proof. Your father's been too ill to question Vincent directly and without evidence. He shrugged. The organization is divided. Some are loyal to Mikhail, others see Vincent as the future. And where do you stand? Lily asked. Marcus's eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. I've served Mikhail Volkov for 25 years, Ms. Winters. I was there when he met Alexander's mother. Watched him build his empire, both legitimate and otherwise. Stood by him when he lost her. His gaze shifted briefly to Alex. I'm loyal to the Volkov family. All of it. The emphasis on all wasn't lost on Lily. Marcus wasn't just loyal to Mikhail, he was loyal to Alex too, seeing him as the rightful heir regardless of Vincent's ambitions. As they drove through the mountains toward Portland, Lily found herself studying Alex's profile. He was staring out the window, his expression distant, lost in thoughts she couldn't begin to fathom. What must it be like, she wondered, to be returning to a father you were estranged from, to face the uncle who had tried to kill you, to step back into a world of power and danger you'd been running from. And where did she fit into all this? She was just a nurse who had happened to be in the right place at the wrong time. Once Alex was safely with his father, her role in this drama would end. The thought left her with an unexpected hollowness. As if sensing her thoughts, Alex turned to her, his eyes questioning. He wrote, "What will you do? After? Go back to my life, I guess," Lily said, trying to sound more certain than she felt. "Explain to the hospital why I disappeared for 3 days. Hope my roommate hasn't reported me missing." Alex frowned, then wrote, "Not safe. Vincent knows your involvement now. He won't forget." "He's right," Marcus said from the front seat. "Vincent doesn't leave loose ends. Once Alexander is safe with his father, Vincent will look for other ways to regain control. You're a vulnerability he could exploit. So what am I supposed to do? Go into witness protection? Change my name, leave my career behind?" "We'll protect you," Marcus said simply. "Mikhail Volkov takes care of those who help his family." The casual way he said it, as if providing security for a random nurse was a minor detail in the Volkov operation, reminded Lily sharply of the world she had stumbled into. A world where power and violence were currencies as common as dollars and cents, where loyalty was rewarded and betrayal punished with equal efficiency. "I don't want to be taken care of," Lily said firmly. "I have a life, a career. I help people, that's what I do." Alex touched her arm gently, then wrote, "We'll find a way. I promise. Won't let you lose your life because of me." The sincerity in his eyes made her throat tight. "Let's just focus on getting you safely to your father. We can figure out the rest later." As they approached Portland, Marcus made a series of calls, speaking in terse, coded language that told Lily he was arranging security for their arrival. The city skyline came into view, familiar yet somehow changed, as if Lily was seeing it through new eyes, aware now of the hidden currents of power that flowed beneath its surface. Instead of heading downtown, Marcus drove to the West Hills, Portland's most exclusive neighborhood, where mansions nestled among ancient trees with views of the city and mountains beyond. They passed through an unmarked gate, then up a winding driveway to a modern fortress of glass and stone, nearly invisible from the road. "Your father's private residence," Marcus explained as they parked. "Only a handful of people know about this place. Vincent isn't one of them." Security personnel materialized as they exited the vehicle. Men and women with the same watchful eyes and subtle bulges of concealed weapons that Marcus carried. They nodded respectfully to Alex, several showing genuine relief at seeing him alive. Inside, the house was a study in minimalist luxury. Open spaces, museum-quality art, furnishings that probably cost more than Lily would earn in a decade. Yet despite its opulence, it felt strangely impersonal, more like a high-end hotel than a home. "Wait here," Marcus said, gesturing to a sitting area with views of the Japanese garden outside. "I'll inform Mikhail you've arrived." When he left, Lily turned to Alex. "Are you okay? This must be a lot." He nodded slowly, then wrote, "Haven't been here in years. Father bought it after Mother died. Never felt like home. And now you're back, about to confront your uncle's betrayal and your father's illness." Alex's smile was sad as he wrote, "Just another day in the Volkov family." Before Lily could respond, a door opened at the far end of the room. A man entered, tall, imposing despite the gauntness of illness, with the same intense eyes as Alex but set in a face hardened by decades of power and loss. Mikhail Volkov moved with the deliberate grace of someone conserving strength, his expensive suit hanging slightly loose on his frame. "Alexander," he said, his voice carrying the faint traces of a Russian accent. "My son." Alex stood, his posture straightening automatically, his expression a careful mask that revealed nothing of his feelings. They regarded each other across the room, father and son, separated by more than just physical distance. Then Mikhail did something unexpected. He crossed the room in quick strides and pulled Alex into a fierce embrace, holding him as if afraid he might disappear. "I thought I had lost you," he murmured, his composure cracking. "When Marcus told me you had vanished from the clinic." Alex returned the embrace awkwardly at first, then with increasing emotion, his shoulders shaking slightly. When they finally separated, Mikhail kept his hands on his son's shoulders, studying his face. "You cannot speak," he stated rather than asked. "The doctors at the clinic told Vincent it was psychological, not physical. Is this true?" Alex nodded, then reached for his notepad. Before he could write, Mikhail spoke again. "Vincent told me you were recovering well, but needed isolation and specialized care. That your doctors advised against visitors, even me." His eyes hardened. "I believed him because he is my brother. Because I trusted him with what matters most to me while I fought this disease." Alex wrote quickly. "He arranged the accident. Tried to kill me. When that failed, kept me drugged, isolated. Planned to control me after your death." Mikhail read the words, his expression darkening with each line. "You are certain of this?" Alex nodded emphatically, then wrote, "Overheard him on phone. The boy is a problem that needs permanent solving. Was planning to move me to more secure facility next week. And how did you escape? Bribed night nurse with watch. Mother's watch. Only valuable thing they didn't take." Something flashed in Mikhail's eyes at the mention of the watch. Pain, perhaps, or memory. He turned to Lily, seeming to truly notice her for the first time. "And you are the nurse who found my son? Who helped him when others would not?" "Yes, sir," Lily said, fighting the urge to fidget under his penetrating gaze. "I'm Lily Winters. I work at St. Mary's. Marcus tells me you have been extraordinary. That you risked your safety, your career to protect Alexander." "Anyone would have done the same," Lily demurred. "No," Mikhail said with absolute certainty. "They would not. Most would have called authorities, washed their hands of a complicated situation. You chose differently." He studied her with unnerving intensity. "Why?" It was the same question Alex had asked, the same one Lily had asked herself repeatedly over the past 3 days. "Why risk everything for a stranger?" "Because he needed help," she said simply. "And because once I started helping him I couldn't stop. Couldn't abandon him." Mikhail nodded slowly, as if her answer confirmed something he had suspected. "The Volkov family owes you a debt, Ms. Winters. One I intend to repay." "That's not necessary." "It is absolutely necessary," Mikhail interrupted firmly. "In my world, debts must be acknowledged and settled. It is a matter of honor." Before Lily could respond, Marcus returned, his expression grave. "Sir, we have a situation. Vincent has arrived at the main house, demanding to speak with you. Says it's urgent, about Alexander." Mikhail's face hardened into a mask of cold fury. "Perfect timing. Bring him here." "Sir?" Marcus questioned, clearly surprised. "Bring my brother here, Marcus. It's time we settled this family matter once and for all." As Marcus left to make arrangements, Mikhail turned to Alex. "Are you prepared to face him? To confront the man who tried to take your life?" Alex hesitated, then nodded, his jaw set with determination. "Good. You are a Volkov. We face our enemies directly." Mikhail turned to Lily. "Ms. Winters, perhaps you should wait elsewhere. What follows may be unpleasant." "I'm staying," Lily said firmly, moving to stand beside Alex. "I didn't come this far to hide in another room while you confront the man who's been hunting us." Something like respect flickered in Mikhail's eyes. "As you wish. But remember, Vincent is dangerous. More dangerous than you can imagine." The next 30 minutes passed in tense preparation. Security personnel took positions throughout the house. Mikhail made several private calls, his voice too low for Lily to hear. Alex paced the room, his movements betraying the nervous energy he couldn't express in words. Finally, the sound of vehicles approaching broke the silence. Mikhail moved to stand by the floor-to-ceiling windows, his back to the room, a position of apparent vulnerability that Lily suspected was anything but. "Remember," he said without turning, "let me lead this conversation. Vincent must believe I know nothing until the moment I choose to reveal it." The door opened and Marcus entered, followed by a man who could only be Vincent Petrov. Where Mikhail was all cold elegance, Vincent was flashy power, designer suit, gold watch, the confident stride of someone accustomed to intimidating others. He was younger than Mikhail by perhaps a decade, his face handsome in a hard way, his smile practiced but never reaching his eyes. That smile faltered when he saw Alex standing in the room. "Alexander," Vincent said, recovering quickly. "Thank God. We've been searching everywhere for you since you disappeared from the clinic." Alex stared at his uncle with undisguised hatred, making no move to acknowledge the false concern. Vincent turned to Mikhail, who had finally turned from the window. "Brother, why didn't you tell me you'd found him? I've had men searching day and night." "Yes," Mikhail said mildly. "Your men have been quite thorough in their search, particularly at a certain cabin near Mount Hood that you shouldn't have known existed." A flicker of unease crossed Vincent's face, quickly masked. "I used every resource available to find my nephew. Your son. What does it matter how I found leads on his whereabouts?" "It matters," Mikhail said, his voice dangerously soft, "because that cabin was my wife's secret. Known only to her, to Alexander, and to me. Perhaps Alexander mentioned it to someone at the clinic during his recovery. Perhaps." Mikhail moved to a sideboard, pouring himself a small measure of vodka with deliberate calm. "Or perhaps you had Alexander under surveillance long before his accident. Perhaps you knew about the cabin because you were planning for contingencies." Vincent laughed, the sound forced. "What are you suggesting, Mikhail? That I had something to do with Alexander's accident? That's absurd. He's my nephew." "Family. Family," Mikhail repeated, swirling the vodka in his glass. "Yes, family is everything, isn't it? The foundation upon which empires are built. The legacy we leave behind." He sipped his drink, then fixed Vincent with a penetrating stare. "Tell me, brother, what did you hope to gain by eliminating my son?" The pretense dropped from Vincent's face like a discarded mask. His expression hardened, calculation replacing the false concern. "You're dying, Mikhail. The treatments aren't working, we both know it. And you were going to leave everything we built together, to a boy who has no understanding of our world, who spent years in European boarding schools while I managed the day-to-day operations that kept this family powerful. So you decided to remove the obstacle," Mikhail said coldly. "To arrange an accident for my son, and when that failed, to keep him drugged and isolated until you could try again. I protected this family while you groomed a successor who would destroy it." Vincent spat. "Alexander is soft like his mother. He doesn't have what it takes to maintain what we've built." Alex stepped forward, fury in every line of his body. Lily placed a restraining hand on his arm, feeling the tension vibrating through him. "My son," Mikhail said with deadly calm, "has more strength than you can comprehend. The fact that he escaped your clinic, evaded your men, and found his way back to me proves it." Vincent's gaze shifted to Lily, his eyes narrowing. "With help, it seems. Who's your new friend, Alexander?" Another weakness Vincent will need to eliminate. The threat hung in the air, explicit and chilling. Before anyone could respond, the door opened again and two more security personnel entered, flanking a thin man in an expensive suit who looked distinctly uncomfortable. "Dr. Reeves," Vincent said sharply. "What are you doing here?" "The doctor who treated Alexander at the clinic," Marcus explained to Mikhail. "As requested." Mikhail nodded, then addressed the nervous physician. "Dr. Reeves, I understand you supervised my son's care after his accident." "Why, yes, Mr. Volkov," the doctor stammered. "Under Mr. Petrov's direction." "And what exactly were your instructions regarding my son's treatment?" Dr. Reeves glanced at Vincent, who stared back with naked threat in his eyes. The doctor swallowed hard, then seemed to make a decision. "Mr. Petrov instructed us to keep Alexander sedated, to administer psychoactive drugs that would make him compliant and confused, to report any signs of recovery or lucidity immediately. And his mutism, his inability to speak. A genuine psychological response to trauma," the doctor admitted, "but one we were instructed not to treat. Mr. Petrov specifically said that a silent Alexander was preferable." Vincent's hand moved toward his jacket, but Marcus was faster, his gun appearing as if by magic, aimed steadily at Vincent's chest. "I wouldn't," Marcus said quietly. "You're making a mistake, Mikhail," Vincent said, his voice tight with fury. "I was protecting our interests. The boy would have destroyed everything." "The mistake," Mikhail replied, "was trusting you with my son's welfare. A mistake I won't live long enough to repeat. The words hung in the air, heavy with finality. Vincent's eyes darted around the room, calculating odds, searching for escape routes. Finding none, his posture shifted subtly, a predator accepting temporary defeat but far from surrendering. "What now, brother?" he asked, his voice deceptively calm. "You kill me? Turn me over to the police? Either way, our organization fractures. Half our people are loyal to me. You start a war you won't live to see finished." "Always the pragmatist," Mikhail said with cold amusement. "Always thinking you're one step ahead." He set down his glass and moved to stand directly before Vincent. "I have no intention of killing you or involving the authorities. Family matters remain within the family." Vincent's expression flickered with uncertainty. "Then what?" "Exile," Mikhail stated. "You will leave Portland tonight. Leave the country by morning. The accounts in the Caymans are yours. Enough to live comfortably but not enough to build power. You will never contact anyone in our organization again. Never return to American soil. Never speak my son's name again. And if I refuse?" Mikhail smiled, the expression chilling in its lack of emotion. "Then Marcus releases the evidence we've been gathering for years. Your unauthorized operations. The 3 associates who disappeared after questioning your authority. The senator you've been blackmailing. All of it goes to both the authorities and our competitors." Vincent's face drained of color. "You've been investigating me? Your own brother." "I investigate everyone, Vincent. Trust is earned, not given, even within family." Mikhail checked his watch. "You have 12 hours. After that, you become a problem that needs solving permanently." The echo of Vincent's own words about Alex wasn't lost on anyone in the room. Vincent's eyes darted to Alex, hatred and resentment plain on his face. "This isn't over," he said softly. "Enjoy your inheritance, nephew. What's left of it when I'm done." "Get him out," Mikhail ordered, and Marcus's men moved forward, escorting Vincent from the room with firm hands on his arms. When the door closed behind them, Mikhail seemed to deflate slightly, the iron control slipping to reveal the illness beneath. He moved to a chair, lowering himself with careful dignity. "He won't go quietly," he said to no one in particular. "Vincent has never accepted defeat gracefully." Alex approached his father, notepad in hand. "He'll try something. Tonight probably." "Yes," Mikhail agreed. "Marcus will handle it. Additional security is already in place." He looked up at his son, his expression softening. "I owe you an apology, Alexander. I should have seen Vincent's ambition for what it was. Should have protected you better." Alex shook his head, then wrote, "We both made mistakes. After Mother died, neither of us knew how to reach the other." The simple truth of those words seemed to hit Mikhail hard. He reached for his son's hand, squeezing it with surprising emotion. "Perhaps it's not too late to try." Lily stood awkwardly to the side, feeling like an intruder in this private family moment. She cleared her throat softly. "I should go. You both have a lot to discuss, and my roommate is probably filing a missing persons report by now." "Ms. Winters," Mikhail said, turning to her, "your safety remains a concern. Vincent made his threat against you quite clear." "I can take care of myself," Lily insisted, though the memory of Vincent's cold eyes made her shiver. "I have no doubt," Mikhail said with surprising gentleness. "But Vincent's reach is extensive. Allow us to provide security, at least until we're certain he's complied with his exile." Before Lily could argue further, Alex touched her arm, his eyes pleading as he wrote, "Please, let us protect you. I couldn't bear it if something happened to you because of me." The naked emotion in his expression made Lily's resistance crumble. "Fine. But I need to get back to my life. My job, my apartment. I can't hide in a fortress forever." "Of course," Mikhail agreed. "Marcus will arrange discreet protection. You'll hardly notice it's there." Somehow Lily doubted that. Nothing about the Volkov family's approach to anything seemed particularly subtle. As arrangements were made for her return home, Lily found herself watching Alex with his father. The careful way they navigated their newfound connection, the weight of unspoken history between them, the tentative hope in both their eyes. Whatever happened next, at least Alex was where he belonged, safe from his uncle's machinations. But as she prepared to leave, Alex pulled her aside, his expression troubled as he wrote, "Will I see you again?" The question caught Lily off guard. In the chaos of their flight and the confrontation with Vincent, she hadn't allowed herself to think beyond the immediate crisis. Now, faced with returning to her normal life, she realized how extraordinary these past days had been. Terrifying, yes, but also more alive than she'd felt in years. And then there was Alex himself. This remarkable young man who had endured so much, who communicated more with his eyes and written words than most people did with endless talking. Who had somehow, in the space of 3 impossible days, become important to her in ways she couldn't fully articulate. "I hope so," she said honestly. "Once things settle down. Once you're truly safe." His smile was tinged with sadness as he wrote, "Nothing in my world is ever truly safe. But I'd risk it to see you again." "Then we'll find a way," Lily promised, squeezing his hand. "This isn't goodbye, Alex. It's just, until next time." As Marcus escorted her to a waiting car, Lily looked back at the glass fortress on the hill, at Alex standing in the doorway watching her leave. Whatever came next, whether Vincent accepted his exile or made a final desperate move, whether Mikhail's illness granted him months or years with his son, whether the Volkov Empire thrived or fractured, Lily knew with absolute certainty that her life had been irrevocably changed by a rainy night and a mute boy with haunted eyes. Some choices once made could never be unmade. Some connections once formed could never be broken. And sometimes, the most unexpected encounters led to the most extraordinary journeys. 3 weeks later, Lily was finishing her shift at St. Mary's when she noticed a familiar figure waiting by the hospital entrance. Alex, dressed in casual clothes that still somehow looked expensive, a small smile playing at his lips as he spotted her. Her heart leapt as she approached him. "Alex, what are you doing here?" He held up his notepad. "Thought you might like dinner. If you're free." "I'd love that," she said, unable to keep the smile from her face. "How are things with your father?" "Good. Better than expected. He's responding well to new treatment." "And Vincent?" "Gone. Surfaced in Monaco last week. Being watched." "And you?" Lily asked softly. "How are you?" Alex's expression turned thoughtful as he wrote, "Still can't speak. Therapist says it might take time. But working on it. And happier than I've been in years." "I'm glad," Lily said, meaning it. "You deserve happiness, Alex." He studied her for a moment, then wrote something else, hesitating before showing it to her. "So do you, Lily? Maybe we could find it together?" The question hung between them, full of possibility. Lily knew there were 1,000 reasons to be cautious. The age difference, his family's world, the complications that would inevitably arise. But looking into his eyes, she remembered the connection they'd forged in danger, the trust that had grown between them, the way he saw her as no one else ever had. "I'd like that," she said simply. "One day at a time." His smile was like sunrise breaking through clouds, brilliant, transformative, full of promise. And as they walked together into the evening, Lily realized that sometimes the most beautiful beginnings came from the most unexpected places. Sometimes, you found exactly what you needed in the last person you'd ever expect. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe to Serafina's Stories for more tales of unexpected connections and life-changing encounters. Have you ever helped someone and found your own life transformed in the process? Share your experience in the comments below. Sometimes the kindest choice is also the bravest, and the people we rescue end up saving us in ways we never imagined.